Hello, I'm Sydney Brazil. Recently, the EVSC adopted the equity school concept, which helps low-performance schools in the EVSC. Let's take a look at this concept with Director of Professional Development, Emily McCormick. Thank you for meeting with me. How is the equity in schools concept helping boost the engagement and achievements in kids in the EVSC?
Well, really, the equity concept is something that is unheard of around here. We have taken schools that have been underperforming and given the educators and the staffs there a chance to create their own plan about how they best think they can fit their kids' needs and meet their kids' needs. And we have given all of them extra training, extra support, extra time, and above all, extra resources to get that job done.
For our viewers, what schools have the equity concept?
The school we're at right now, Delaware Elementary, Howard Rusa Elementary, and then also McGary Middle School.
So it sounds like a lot of teachers would like to participate in the equity schools. What are the requirements that teachers have to actually be a part of it?
Well, it's a little bit of a different process than what you might go through to get a normal teaching job. The teachers, of course, have to be licensed in the area and grade level that the school covers, but then they also go through and must successfully complete the Equity Professional Development Academy, which includes over 40 hours of professional development, some of it on Saturdays, some of it in after-school sessions. They had to complete an action research project within their own classrooms and then go through an exit interview. After they successfully completed, then they would be able to either stay in one of the equity schools or get a chance to transfer into one.
Okay, and also, are all the teachers at Delaware or Howard Rusa or McGary, are they all equity teachers, or are there some that aren't?
All of them that will be placed at Delaware, McGary, and Howard Rusa next year have successfully completed the Equity Academy and chosen to be part of that school.
So what unique things go on in the classes?
Well, you know, that's been the great part about this process. At every single one of the schools, there have been so many exciting, engaging teaching strategies that have gone on. As I said, each teacher went through and chose an action research project that was meaningful to them so that they could really create change within their classroom. And many of those strategies that they chose to investigate and try out and research and problem solve through with their peers are actually the ones they're using in their classrooms today. A lot of them involve data, using it to really think about their instruction and adjust it as they go on and different ways to engage kids.
I think the big advantage for us is that it's allowed us to step outside the box. We are highly encouraged to take those risks with our children and to provide those unique learning experiences that they can't always obtain just inside the classroom.
It was pretty exciting. We were able to come together and meet with the teachers and find out, do a little research, find out what things we knew we could use that would improve our classrooms and our engagement. And it kind of gave us the ability to spend some more time looking at the data and finding the problems that we could see we were having in our classroom and what we needed to do to make the changes to improve where we had our deficiencies.
It's change, and with any change, it seeps into people's uncomfortable zones, gets into their lack of comfort zone, and we're going to expand on that. So that is challenging, but we have such a willing staff to be a catalyst for change that really hasn't been an issue with us.
We're a new team to McGary Middle School, and we focused on the 4 core areas that the district had selected, which is leadership, engagement, collaboration, and data, really delving into the student data to figure out what we need to do that's in the best interest of our students. We've also attended, teachers and administrative team alike have attended 40 extra hours of professional development on best practices for the equity model to move our school forward.
Since we went through the equity training, I started doing a lot more hands-on activities with the students. What the students are doing today is an inquiry-based lesson. They're posed with a question. They're going to go through and try to find an answer to that question, and then we're going to do a lab tomorrow based on the procedures that they defined today in class.
Like, one thing this has really pushed us to do is to really activate and be aware of our engagement levels that we're providing to the children. For example, today we were outside with math, we were working on measurement, and then taking that data set and finding the best way for those students to display that data in different types of graphs. And the students throughout day today doing the standing long jump. And they had 3 tries, they recorded their data. They then came together as a group to work collaboratively and then decide what's their best way to display that data in which type of graph. So it's really provided the kids with an intense engagement level so that all kids are working at their particular learning level and in different ways that we're meeting all those students' different styles of learning.
I think a lot of my beliefs in my philosophy were really just more affirmed. Like I knew I wanted to try to use engaging activities, and then I had someone tell me, yes, that's what you need to do. So that was encouraging. The thing that I changed more was just looking at the data and going back and looking at acuity scores and being able to see, this is where we weren't doing very well, and look at the next scores and say, okay, we improved. And that's kind of given me better direction on planning my instruction.
On my part, as the assistant principal, we're dealing with reflecting on student behavior. And we're putting together, what has actually been put together, what's called PBS, Positive Behavior Support. And we're going through training of how we're going to model things for our students this fall going into this equity concept, because our whole focus is being able to help and better our children in the educational process. So we're looking at the different type of behavior models that will help them be successful, and we're looking at it in terms of some of the things that students face. So as we look at those things that our students face, we try our best to make it easy for them to be able to come into the school and to be able to integrate in and become successful students.
What I've seen through my daily walkthroughs in the classrooms is a willingness for teachers to step out of their comfort zone, really try some engagement strategies, be very reflective of their practice, talk about their practice with their peers, their colleagues, and students now, second semester, are willing to share what they're doing and seem very engaged about the progress that they're making in the classes. So I feel like that's definitely progress.
What is the future outlook for the equity in schools concept in the EVSC?
Well, since this is the first year, we're really going through the planning process and supporting the schools as they come up with their plans for the upcoming year. And then as it grows, we'll look into budgeting and funding other schools to become equity.
Thank you for your time, Emily. And reporting from the EVSC Community Link, I'm Sydney Brazil.
There's 3 instructors and a battalion chief in training, assigned to training, and we got 1 EMS guy. Each of us have different areas that we deal with depending on what type of truck we worked on. We got different trucks on the fire department, so each of us has got different areas of expertise and experience, and that's what we try to deal with on a daily basis with the recruits and the other 200 and plus firemen that we deal with. Normally you got, this is the first time we got 12 weeks of recruit class. Part of it's book studies and testing, and part of it is hands-on. Obviously, they have to have passing scores, certain physical abilities that they have to have. They've got physical agility tests that they take beforehand, so by the time we get them, all we have to do is train them. And we teach them the basics. Basically, what we're trying to teach them is how to survive on the fire ground and be an asset instead of a negative, you know. They're there to help everybody, and we train them so they can help you in your time of need.
Our main responsibility has changed. Now it's more into life safety, first response on medical runs, and even expanded into areas such as hazardous material, having an underwater rescue and team and a high-rise rescue team. We also have a program that within all the schools talking about learn not to burn. We've actually had some fires that were across the city where the child has actually saved the parent because they had learned what to do in a fire, and they had their sense about them enough to help their parents get out of the fire, which you have that happen one time, you realize what a great program this is and how important it is to get young students at a young age and ensure that they understand that fire is dangerous and that there's a safe way if you're in a fire to get out and ensure that everybody is safe.
When someone does get trapped inside a burning building, a search and rescue mission takes place. We were able to see what one of these missions looks like, as well as find out why new recruits decide to join the Evansville Fire Department in the first place.
I wanted to be an Evansville City fireman to give back to the community. I'm in Evansville a lot and I see what the community has, and I just like a chance to serve and protect.
The main reason that I wanted to join is because I used to have a desk job and it got to be pretty boring, and I wanted something more exciting and wanted something to be able to help people do something different with my life. So
basically the tradition behind it. I've always been interested in the wildfire aspect of it, and it just kind of fit with my goals in life, serving the community and just being a part of the tradition.
Training's been pretty intense. We spent a lot of time doing classwork, learning what we needed to do, the skills that we needed to do and prepare for. And then we've been spending a lot of time here at the tower, doing a lot of hands-on stuff.
The goal of this operation is to get in, save the victim, and get out as fast and as safe as possible. There was no fire. This was simply a dry run to practice basic techniques.
It's been very involved with the fire training, put in with the EMS training, trying to balance both of those has been a little bit of a chore, but yeah, it's been difficult.
Lately, pretty much coming here to the tower, doing some hose operations, pulling hose lines, doing some ventilation on the ventilation simulation. A good 6 hours out here at the tower.
Everything from throwing ladders to hose advancement to fire behavior, There's a lot that's involved in just being prepared for the actual fire.
It's been rigorous. A lot of hose loads, a lot of search and rescue, a lot of long days. The search and rescue, I didn't think it was going to be as hard as it was going to be. Basically, we're going in under smoky conditions and dragging a 160 to 180 pound dummy down 3 flights of stairs out of this concrete tower and to the outside.
A lot of times what people don't understand is whenever they call for someone's had a heart attack or someone is sick or is injured, why a fire truck shows up. They don't understand that at first, but it's because on our apparatus, whether it's our engines or ladders now, we have first responders and EMTs that provide that initial medical care to people. We've actually had people tell us, we didn't call the fire department, we called for an ambulance. In so many cases, because of the proximity of where our fire stations are, we are able to be there quicker than the ambulance. Not that they have bad response time, it's just we are located better than they are, and we can get there quicker. We can start the initial CPR on victims that may need it. We can start oxygen therapy on individuals that may need it. We can assist breathing on a patient that may have stopped breathing. And now we require all of our individuals that come on the department to be an EMT. So we actually teach the EMT class, and then they have a year to pass their certification.
We were learning that everything in the Evansville Fire Department was a lot more involved than we had originally thought. Even something as simple as using a ladder had a distinct procedure to ensure efficiency and safety.
My father spent 29 years on the Evansville Fire Department before he retired, and he retired as a chief training officer. He was a district chief, which was the same rank I was before I became chief, and my uncle was on the fire department. And it's pretty much all I ever knew from about the age of 5. I would sit at the table and listen to my father tell stories in the morning about the runs that he had made the night before and the different things that had happened. And I always kind of knew I wanted to do it. But I will say that there's one instance that I remember vividly, that when my father worked down on St. Joe at station number 5, we were visiting one day, my sister and my mother and I, and they got a fire run. And it was down on West Virginia Street. And we had never gone to a fire, never. But we talked my mom into going, and it was a building that had a lot of lacquer in it. And black smoke was just pouring in the sky and all. And my mom pointed out that, oh, there's your father. And we watched him go into the building, and just a couple minutes after he'd been in the building, this huge explosion. And this 55-gallon drum went about 150 feet up into the air. Our father had just gone in there, and we didn't know what to think. This huge explosion, your father goes in, had been in a building, you don't know what's going on, and we just kind of were panicked a little bit. A few minutes later, here came my father out of the building. I kind of thought to myself, I thought, that's the coolest thing I ever saw in my life. That somebody would do that and go back day after day, and it kind of made me understand what my father did. That yes, it was a dangerous job, but if you're careful and you know what you're doing, that you'll be okay. Plus the cool factor at the age of about 9. But it had always been in my mind that because I was in the service and in the Navy, and it was giving back to your country. And my mother was in politics, my grandfather, and they gave back to the community. And I eventually went into politics because it was a good way to give back to your community. And being an Evansville firefighter, I always said that every day you showed up to work, you had an opportunity to impact someone's life in a positive way. And I think ultimately that's what most of us really want. We want to have a positive impact within our community and on other people's lives. And this job is a great opportunity for that. And I've never not wanted to come to work, not one day.
Well, once again, you guys get better with every episode, but don't get too confident yet. We have one left. So let's go out with a bang.
And you spelled chief wrong.
That's the way you told me how to spell it.
No,
C-H-E-I-F.
No, I completely accept that procedure.
No.
This has been a Bulldog production.